This is the story of a boy named Nazur. He is shy when it comes to talking to girls. However, one day he befriends a girl named Rio. Later, when he visits her house, he discovers that Rio's parents are not around, and she lives alone with her younger brother, bearing all the expenses for both of them. Everything seems fine until one day, when Nasser digs in her garden and finds a dead body. This manga will break you inside, making you wonder how anyone could treat such young kids this way. So, this is the story of a boy named Nasur, who lost his father to an illness and now lives alone with his mom. He's in 6th grade and feels quite shy around girls. That's why, on Valentine's Day, when a girl tries to give him a gift, he runs away. All the girls think he's rude for not even accepting a gift, so they stop talking to him. But this doesn't bother Nasur because he has his love for football. One day, when playing football with his friends, he finds out that their old coach has been diagnosed with cancer and is hospitalized. As a result, a new coach, who is quite rude and strict, is hired. Despite Nasur's good performance, the coach gives him lengthy lectures, leading him to walk away. On the way, he finds a small injured kitten and takes it home. However, when he goes to his mom, she starts sneezing loudly because she is allergic to cats. Realizing Nasur has brought a cat home, she immediately tells him to take it outside. Although he doesn't want to leave the cat, he has to because of his mom. Feeling sad, he then sees a girl from his class, Rio Suzumura, who is out with her younger brother, Yuta. He asks her if she could keep the cat at her house, explaining his mom's allergy. Rio agrees, but says he'll have to pay 1,000 yen per month for the cat's expenses. Nasur agrees, and they name the cat Tofu because it's as white as tofu. The three of them play with the cat before Nasser heads home, though he can't stop thinking about Rio and her brother, wondering how they manage alone and where their parents are. Now, Nasser's summer vacation begins, but since he's part of a football camp, he has an upcoming 3-day match. However, with the new coach around, who he doesn't get along with, he decides not to attend. He lies to his mom, saying he's going to a football match, but instead, he goes to Rio's house. He's delighted to see her cat, and they start playing. Meanwhile, Rio is cooking for them. Watching her, Nasuru asks, "Do you really live alone? Where do you get money and other things from?" She replies, "My dad is a fisherman. He's currently in Alaska and sends money for us." Nasuru then asks, "Where's your mom?" She explains that her mom left them long ago. Then she tells Nasuru, "Please don't tell anyone about this, because if people find out we live alone, they might put us in a childcare facility, and we won't be able to live with our dad. He'd be left all alone." Hearing this, Nasuru agrees, saying, "All right, I won't tell anyone. You're amazing." And yes, Rio is indeed amazing, taking care of her brother and herself, even though she's just a little girl. After that, the three of them, along with the cat, begin living together since Nasuru has 3 days. He lies to his mom and comes here, while she believes he's gone to a football match. One night, while they're sleeping, little Yuta asks Nasuru to tell him a scary story, and when Nasuru begins, they all get frightened. Suddenly, there's a noise at the door, scaring them even more. Rio starts muttering to herself, "Please forgive me, don't come here." Nasuru, confused, gathers the courage to open the door, only to find a beetle, which Yuta quickly goes to play with. But Rio was so scared she ends up hugging Nasuru. He's puzzled by her muttering, realizing that something happened in Rio's past that caused her fear. Later, they decide to keep the beetle as a pet and enjoy their time together. The day comes when Rio and Yuta's dad is supposed to return, so they decorate the house for a festival, a tradition he always took them to. They eagerly wait for him all day, but he doesn't come. It's been nearly 3 months since he left, and they've never even spoken to him on the phone. Reflecting on this, Rio feels sad, and Nasuru, seeing her down, suggests, "Come watch the festival with me," which cheers her up. The three of them enjoy the festival. The next day, mysteriously, their beetle dies. Nasuru buries it in the garden. When Yuta wakes up, he asks what Nasuru is doing, and Nasuru explains he buried the beetle. But since Yuta is little, he insists on saying goodbye to it and asks Nasuru to dig it back up. As Yuta starts digging, he uncovers a skeleton, a hidden dead body. This sight terrifies Nasuru, and just then, Rio arrives, and the real truth starts to unfold. As it turns out, Rio and Yuta used to live in this house with their father and grandfather. One day, her father told Rio he was going to Alaska to earn money. Initially, Rio refused, but her father reassured her, "I know you'll manage everything, so I'm going." Rio then asked him when he'd return, and he promised, "We'll watch the next festival together." But as we all know, he hasn't returned yet. So now, Rio has started taking care of Yuta and their grandfather while also attending school. One day, her grandfather tells her, "You're a good girl. Wait, let me give you some money." But she refuses, saying, "It's very dangerous. Please don't go to the upstairs room to get money." With that, she leaves. However, her grandfather decides that when Rio returns, he will give her the money. So, he asks Yuta to take him to the upstairs room to retrieve it. Since Yuta is just a little kid, he doesn't understand the situation and starts taking him upstairs. But as they're coming down the stairs with the money, he slips, falls, and dies from the accident. Yuta, being very young, can't do anything, so he waits for his older sister. When Rio arrives, she is completely shocked by what she sees. She immediately tries calling her father, but he's out of reach. She keeps trying, but no luck. Days pass, and Rio and Yuta, sitting with their grandfather's dead body, continue waiting for their dad, but he still doesn't answer. When their grandfather's body starts to smell, the neighbors get suspicious and ask Rio about it. She brushes it off, saying there's no problem, just some smell. But she can't keep this up for long. Now, you might be wondering why she's hiding it and not telling the neighbors everything. But remember, Rio is just a little girl in 6th grade, and she thinks, like in movies, that if someone is found with a dead body, the police might put them in jail. She's terrified that the police will arrest her and her brother, so she tells no one. This is understandable because she's still a child. Finally, she decides to bury her grandfather's body in the garden to prevent the smell from spreading and raising suspicion. Later, she shares all this with Nasur. Hearing this, he asks, "Why didn't you call the police?" She responds tearfully, saying that if the police had found out, it would have turned into a case where people would think her parents abandoned them, tarnishing her dad's reputation. Despite everything, she insists, "He's still my dad, so please don't tell anyone." Nasur, moved by her words, also starts crying and runs away, scared by the sight of the dead body. He goes straight home, locks himself in his room without speaking to his mom, and keeps thinking about it all day. Meanwhile, one day when Rio is bringing home some groceries, she sees her father on the street with a woman. Shocked, she confronts him, saying, "So you lied about everything? You were here all along." But in front of the woman, her father acts as if he doesn't know her and walks away silently. This completely breaks her. She realizes that everything her father told her was a lie, that he abandoned his elderly father and 2 young children to indulge in a carefree life. He didn't care about them at all. He just left them behind like that.
After this, she goes home and starts crying loudly, seeing which Yuta also starts crying. He asks if Najura will come to play today, but Rio replies that neither Dad nor Najura will come anymore. Just as she says this, Najura arrives, and Rio is delighted to see him. Then he says, "Rio, let's run away from here," and the 3 of them take their cat and leave. They take all the money they have left and set off. They're very happy now, traveling to different places, enjoying a lot of things. They even rent an inn to stay in. But then, the inn informs Najura's mom, who arrives there with the police. Rio then tells the police everything honestly, and they take Rio and Yuta to a child care facility. They also give her grandfather a proper funeral, and her father is arrested for abandoning his family in such a poor state for his own pleasures. Najura gets separated from Rio and Yuta and goes to live with his mom. He tells her, "When Dad was admitted to the hospital, he said that if I listened to you and was a good child, he would get well soon. I did exactly that, but Dad still died." His mom replies, "Sometimes God lies to protect you because he loves you very much, and that's where this manga's name, The God's Lie, comes from." They both start crying. So, Nejuro is now separated from Rio and Yuta. Their cat is sent to an animal facility, and they don't communicate anymore. Time passes, and one day, Rio dreams that Nejuro has become a famous football player. She calls him immediately, and Nejuro and his mom are both very happy to see her call. Rio tells Nejuro about her dream of him becoming a football star, and after talking to each other after so long, they both cry. Rio then says, "Nejuro, let's meet again someday," and with that, the manga ends. Let's discuss about this manga. Here we saw a father who abandoned his two young children and elderly father just for his own selfish pleasures, leaving a young girl with no choice but to take care of her little brother. Unknowingly, she ends up doing something with her grandfather that she will regret for the rest of her life. But seeing what happened in the end, I feel satisfying. I hope Nejuro will reunite with Rio and Yuta, and they can live together. Let's wrap up the video here. I hope you liked this video. If you enjoyed it, please like it, and if you want to discuss anything about manga, feel free to comment. I really like you to talk about it.